Hey guys, Arcade Geek here. It's been about 2 weeks now since our first video, and so I thought I would come through today and just give a general update on where we are at with each of the games. To this point, we've gone through all of them now and have spent sort of a minimum of 5 minutes. I'd say 30 minutes tops on each one. It really depends on what the issue is. As you'll see as we go through, there's a few things that we haven't worked on yet, but we've identified what the issue is. So it being obvious, things like the monitor not being installed, those types of things. So still a few of those projects to go, but for the most part, I think we've narrowed down what it is we need to do. So we did, I guess, list maybe 15 or so out to the local Craigslist yesterday. I think maybe even the day before, a couple might have gone out, and then a few more today. So we did have our first sale, which was the Outrun. The Outrun had a few issues. The screen was playing pretty blue and the board was a little glitchy. So you could race the game, it would work, but there'd be a bunch of palm trees showing up in the middle of the road and just various things like that. So we listed out as a project, I think for $200. Local buyer here decided he didn't want the board, had his own, and was willing to take on the rest of the project, so he paid $150. So $150, we got to keep the glitchy board, which of course we can work on and get restored and fixed ourselves. And then also our vending machine, which, as I mentioned in the first video, we had a couple throw-ins, which was the kegerator there and the big giant vending machine. And the vending machine sold within a few hours of posting it for $500. So, to have the vending machine and the kegerator, which also I believe is now going to be sold, and we'll talk about that when I get there. But it's been pretty good. So first couple down, long way to go. But anyway, let's kind of go through the videos here, or excuse me, through the games here. Indiana Jones, it's got a small collapse on the top of the monitor. The game plays, so no issues there, but probably a cap kit and a little bit of tightening up on the controls, etc. That pole position is a good board. The monitor was bad on it, but it's playing blind, so we'll dig into that one a little bit more. But at least, the tough part of that generally is the board, and that board works fine. On the Badlands, the monitor is a little bit collapsed. It's about a ½ inch on top, so we'll cap that one. Simpsons, you can see the artwork that we set aside for it. The control panel was installed by the previous people. It looks like they just kind of did a simple overlay and put the buttons, and I'm not sure that those buttons actually line up with the control panel overlay. So we have to make a decision as to whether we're going to leave it as is or put up a new piece of wood and rewire the whole thing. So depending on what time we have, we'll probably make that decision down the road a little bit. But for now, we're just going to sort of leave it as is. Gameplay's fine, no issues at all. Just really the artwork is what's needed there. Pango, the chassis was pulled off of the monitor. And so we've got it's playing blind, but there was no sound. So the boards look good and everything seems like it'd probably be fine, but still some work to do there. Baby Pac-Man, haven't done anything since the first couple days on this one. It boots, but it's failing the self-test. So we do have a new board here, I think, in the board pile. So probably swap that out at some point, but we have not gotten to that. That'll likely be a project for, maybe month 3 or so. Pole position here, no issues at all, works great. We were able to finally get inside Championship Sprint. The power supply was a bit bad, so we put a new one in, and the game is working fine. The controls are a little loose, and there's some tightening up we need to do there, and the monitor is a little washed out. So, the cabinet has some water damage from before on the left side. So I'm not sure how much time we're going to really spend on this one. It might be something that we get working and sell it off as a restoration project for somebody. The working game is the most important part of it, and the wood and the art and all that can certainly be had online. So that one will probably go out. Have not got the monitor installed in Pac-Man yet. The Blitz Showtime. The game works fine, but the wiring in there is pretty hacky. So I don't know if we're going to spend the time to rewire the game. Might end up just selling the working game or maybe kit the board out. The monitor was really nice on it, and of course the control panel. And all the buttons and everything else that's going there. So that might just end up being a kit for somebody. A little bit of water damage in the cabinet, so I'm not sure this is really a candidate to spend a ton of time on. But certainly I think the board and those parts are valuable and in demand, so we'll get that out listed. Arch Rivals, the monitor is pulled on that one, so still have some work to do there. The boards are also pulled on that, so it's basically an empty shell, but we have everything in the other room. Space Gun, game is working. It's playing blind though, so Again, that's one we decided. We've got so many projects here. We just need to start moving some of these larger games out of the way. The recoil on the guns work. You can hear the game playing fine, but it's playing blind. So probably end up being one that we send out to Craigslist. $200. I don't know. Somebody will take on the project. Certainly, it's a unique cab, and it could be a simple 5-minute fix. It's just one of those things we don't really want to spend a ton of time on the games that aren't super valuable, even when they're fully functioning. Pac-Man Plus, the control panel is still pulled. I don't think there's a board in that one either. It's in the board pile, so project for sure. Big Buck Safari game worked the first time, and then the second time did not turn on. So we think with power supply is a little bad. It's just the whole game runs off of a PC, so it's a PC power supply. Those are cheap. I've got some at home, so I'll probably bring one in here. I don't know, tomorrow, something. Tapper's working great, no issues there at all. Gauntlet 2, I mentioned in the last video that the control panel was non-responsive. We've come to find that it's the wiring. We did wiggle some of the wires around and we got the guys to move, but it just really needs to be rewired. At least the control panel harness does, and that's definitely something we'll do because it's such a great game. And this one is working good. Rip Your Tapper, the left side art is missing. As I mentioned, I've been looking for side art for this, but you just can't find it. I don't know that anybody's ever reproed it. So we still need to install the original ROMs. It's got the Simpsons ROMs in there right now. But we might sell it as a project for somebody waiting on art, or quite honestly, I might take that one home. So it'd be fun to have a Tapper. Corey definitely wants the Budweiser Tapper, and I'm sort of leaning towards the Tron because I really want that project. So those are our first two selections of games we'll likely take home, and I might take this Tapper. I don't know. We'll see. Arkanoid is working, but it's in a pretty decent cabinet. It's a Taito cabinet. It's a Kix, and we have an elevator action, and I really liked that game a lot when I was a kid. So I think what I'm going to do is convert this one to elevator action, and then keep it because I don't think Arkanoid has a lot of value, and it's a shame to have this type of cabinet wrapped up in an Arkanoid. So see what we can do. Maybe sell the Arkanoid as a kit. Sinistar, the soundboard was pulled on that one, so I had to order one on eBay. That actually just came in today, so probably a project for the weekend. Final Lap 3. Game worked great the first time. The second time it froze on us, and then worked great the third time. So we'll probably dig around and see if it's something simple, and if not, it's a working project for sure. Asteroids, the chassis is pulled on that right now. We have not done anything with it. That's how we got it. But as you can see, it's really nice, and we've got the new control panel with the screened overlay on it. So I imagine that will be one we'll fix up and certainly make it look a lot nicer. The Operation Wolves both are working. We put the left one out to Craigslist. I guess it was day before, and for $300. So it seems like a right price for a working Operation Wolf. As I mentioned, we're motivated to clear some space, so we're certainly in this first round, I think, giving away a lot of good deals. Gapless is going to need a power supply. The one that was in there was dead, and we have a Bob Roberts kit with the adapter to put a switcher in there, but it does require a little bit of wiring, so we'll eventually get to that. But I just think this is a really sweet cabinet. I mean, it's a dedicated. It's a shame that it's scratched up. Most of the damage is certainly in the T-molding, which is, as you can maybe see, is broken every 4 inches. That's easy. And then the artwork, I haven't done anything to try and clean it up, but maybe some magic eraser or something. That would just be a very cool cabinet to have. It's very, very uncommon, at least in my mind. It seems like every one I've ever seen has been a conversion. Ghosts and Goblins. This one, the power supply is dead on it, so we haven't even tested the board or anything. The monitor's also collapsed, and there's a little bit of cabinet issues here, so this might end up being a kit that we move over to a different unit here. I don't really know what we're going to do with that one yet. I really love that game, and as you can see, the marquee and the bezel and really the control panel are in excellent condition, so certainly a candidate to put in a better cab, but I don't know. We'll see. Missile Command here. This one is very nice. Has the Braze kit, which is the multi-game. So it has Missile Command and Super Missile Strike. You can see the overlay. I think either this is just an amazing cabinet that was never damaged, or the overlay was replaced at some point. But side art and everything you can see, it looks really nice. I think we put that one out for $600. So it seems like a pretty good price considering how nice the game is, and it just plays perfectly. No issues. Discs of Tron we have not got to yet. That one is on the list, probably, as I've mentioned before, for a more of a full restore. So that will be a month 3 type project once we clear some space. Paperboy, this one I haven't worked on yet. The controls need some work. The gameplay is fine. It's hard to control the Paperboy. So we've got actually a rebuild kit that I found in one of the parts boxes for the control panel. And there are some new grips as well. So I don't really know. I think this cabinet is the worst of the two. So we'll probably restore the other one and get this one fully functioning and then just sell it out as a project for somebody that wants to do a full restore. Or just have a great copy of the game that works. Sort of a player's copy. 1943, no issues there. Works great. That one actually went to Craigslist for, I think, $300. So it's a conversion game. It's in a Super Pac-Man cabinet, but I think that's a pretty fair price. It plays all the way, and the monitor looks pretty good too. Dragon Spirit. We put this one on local Craigslist, but I'm not optimistic that's really where it's going to sell. We've had a little interest in the last couple of days. Mostly people just want to know if it's real. This is... it's hard to say how many they made of this game. I've heard numbers like 600. Our serial number is 306 or 7 on this one. So certainly an uncommon game. And ours, as you can see, is in excellent condition. And it's working all the way as well. So that probably is going to go to Clav and eBay tomorrow and see if we can get a little more traction there. But I expect that it would sell to one of those types of communities and not your local Craigslist guys that are usually looking for the cheap games. Anyway, let's go in the other room here. Oh, sorry, I missed this. Speed Buggy, this one went to Craigslist. It's working all the way, $200, so, cheap game, but certainly a good price. Had a lot of interest, actually, some people that are coming out tomorrow. We think we've got it sold, so we'll see. Rampage works all the way when you put a new power supply in it. I had one power supply to install in this, and it was working fine, so probably need to buy a couple more. I mean, you could sort of get the recurring theme here is power supplies and cap kits is really the issues with the game. So we've got a lot of it. We just haven't gotten to those type of projects. Like I said, we're spending the 5 to 10 minutes per game to this point, and we'll certainly start back now in the beginning and start going back and spending the appropriate time to fix every game and then moving on to the next one. This is probably the only exception for the length of time we've spent on a game so far. And we spent about an hour on these Daytona USAs, and 45 to 50 minutes of that was getting the damn things open. It was really a pain in the ass to get in there. They've got a bunch of locks down in the floorboards, which is, you can see where all the boards are stored. We did power both on. All the lights come on the boards, but these were sitting in that warehouse, and I think probably many warehouses for whatever length of time. And it looked like some mice or rats or whatever had made a nest inside them on the bottom. So when you dig in there, the wires are kind of chewed up, and it just, it's not a proper place to test them. So we'll get them out and figure out a way to test the boards, but they probably work fine. I mean, it was really mostly related to the wiring that we saw the issues, not the boards themselves. Street Fighter II Champion Hyper Fighting. This game works. The monitor is a little washed out, so probably cap it, maybe swap it out depending. But it's in the Z-Back cab, so it's dependent on whether somebody wants this game in the in-demand cabinet, or maybe we'll just park the game out and sell the cabinet by itself. So I don't know. We'll see. Star Trek, we've not spent any time on this one beyond the first day when we plugged it in. It basically is, you hear the fans come on, but it's complete. We don't know what the issue is. I mean, it's probably got to start at the power supply and work our way from there, but we haven't even tested voltages on it. This is another sort of month 3 project. The Discs of Tron, the environmental, as I mentioned, works fine. I did slide the pieces together for this video just so people could kind of get a general feel. The front of it is on casters, so that's why it sort of doesn't meet at the top. The backside casters and the plate you stand on to play the game are over there on the left. So, and then all the artwork is still in the box in the other room, so we don't accidentally break it. But that is a month 3 project. This Blockout game is crazy because, I had never heard of it. It's kind of fun. It's like a 3D Tetris. I don't really know how to describe it. It looks like it's a Centipede cab. I did look on eBay, and it's like there's no demand for this game. But I think that's because people maybe have not played it. Like if you like Tetris, this one is sort of a looking down, and you're 3D rotating the blocks on 3 axes. So it's really fun. And that one plays great, and it's got a guy that sort of talks to you, sort of like that. Reminds me of that 90s Lawnmower Man movie. But anyway. In here, we've got the kegerator sold. The guy's coming to pick it up tomorrow for $400. This actually retails for $900, and it's basically new. I mean, I think it got used once, so you can see the cover is still in there, and the manual and everything's still in the bag, etc. So, again, vending machine and a kegerator, $900. It's pretty sweet. Joust is still not working. We've identified it as probably a board issue at this point, so. We've not swapped any ROMs or done anything with it at all. All we did was get a power supply in it that was working. The board is showing error code, but there's a lot of questions still. So that's probably one we've spent maybe 15 or 20 minutes on. So that's nothing in the Williams world when you've got to look at a board. So project to do still. The Tempest, this one, as I've mentioned, is fully restored. The game is just beautiful. I know it's hard to get that vibe from this, GoPro here, but it's fully powder coated. All the artwork is new. I mean, the glass has been fully replaced. It has the original board in it, which is working, and then it also has the Vector Labs 8-game daughter card on there. So that's $180 all by itself. The coin door is fully powder coated. I mean, the game is just beautiful. We did list it on local Craigslist for I think like $2,200, which sort of sounds high, but I think if you think about how much money went into this, and the fact that it's a rare cocktail to start with, I fully expect that eBay will be the place, maybe Clav, but I think Clav guys love to restore these games on their own, and they really won't pay you for your time. So I think eBay is the place to go, where you're dealing with the whole world and trying to find somebody that might be interested in this game. But the picture is just gorgeous. I mean, it's ridiculous how nice this game is. If it wasn't so valuable, I'd probably consider keeping it. I just don't really have cocktails in my house, so. It is what it is. Omega Race here. Have not done anything with that one yet. The bezel and board are still on top. I've talked about this before. The seller had kind of given us a list of games and what was included, and we didn't really get a chance to see everything as we were going through, so we took his word on a lot of it, and quite honestly, the warehouse was just a bit of a mess, so it was hard to find things. And anyway, so he listed this as a part out, but he had the kit for it, so we've managed to find the bezel. And the control panel is populated and new, and that's sitting on top. I think the marquee is in the artwork pile, but we haven't been able to find any game boards for it. So we'll definitely get that, reinstalled, posted back in, and talk to the seller. We did call him actually this week, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no problem. We'll come on out and we'll dig around and try to find it." There were a couple other things that were supposed to be in these games that wasn't. So we'll go back out there, maybe next weekend or something like that. He had surgery, so he's a little out of commission right now. But anyway, he's just been really great to work with on things like that. So anyway, going over to Battle Zone here. Have not got... Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. We did plug this one in. The board we pulled, the power supply was the issue on this one. I'm sorry I don't have a note on it. And that's why we put those notes, is because you're going to forget everything if you don't write it down. So got to rebuild the power supply. The Star Wars that's in here, as I mentioned, we've got the new shroud on top, and then there's a shroud on top of it. And then each of the games have shrouds as well, and they're all in really great condition. So I don't think it's a situation where we're going to use those other parts. I think we'll keep them as it is. The controls on these are very tight. They work great. We did get one new yoke as well. I think it's one of those ones that was made by those RAM Control guys, maybe 5 years ago or whatever, but it's a brand new Star Wars yoke, and I think that whole deal went kind of sideways with them. But if you manage to get one of the products, it's amazing, and it's brand new. So probably end up selling it, quite honestly, because the ones that are on here are really nice. So I don't see the need to install a new one. And those have become pretty valuable these days because nobody else makes them, and that was the only time. And I guess that company's out of business now. Paperboy, this is the nicer of the two. It was actually set up on casters, so that got the game up off the ground, which probably is why the bottom is in pretty good shape. The artwork on the side has been pulled off, but we've got some new old stock Atari side art for this game. So, and as I mentioned, the grips, I think I put those in here actually. Yeah, so we've got new grips, and there's a rebuild kit for the controls. So this project we'll get to down the road. We got a power supply inside the Galaga, and it was working, so we just don't have enough of them right now, so that is a power supply issue to get that one working. Defender's still on the list of things to do. Probably power supply on that. It's a little flaky, so I don't know. We'll get to it. It's kind of one of those games that I'm leaning towards keeping, so not a big rush. Crystal Castles, we did manage to find another board. So we've got the board that's inside, which works, and then we've got a separate board stack, which is working as well. But the power supply on this is bad. So we need to, and plus the cabinet itself is wired by, seems like somebody didn't know what they were doing. So we're going to need to rewire that game. I don't know how far we're going to take it, whether we sell the Crystal Castles kit and then sell off the cabinet, because, you know, these sort of Bally Midway cabaret cabinets are pretty in demand. People love to use them to restore games. So maybe do that. I don't know. Street Fighter 2 here. The game works. The monitor is a little washed out. The board's probably a little glitchy, but we haven't done anything with it yet. Reseat some ROMs, clean them. You know, there's a lot of things still to do, but we'll get to them eventually. The Pong Cocktail, the game goes up, turns on, and plays to the attract mode, but the game doesn't start. And so we put this on local Craigslist for a couple $100. I don't remember exactly what it's at, but I think, you know, maybe this is one of those games that people would just love to have. You know, they remember them when they were a kid. It's kind of cool to have one of the original Pongs. So I don't really know what we're going to do on that one yet. Maybe we'll spend the time to get it working, maybe not. You know, it goes into attract mode, and the screen is really nice. It's just the game won't start. So what can you do? All right, let's go to the next room here. So in here, Pong Doubles, we did get that one finally put back together. A list of things to do on it right now. It's kind of taken apart. The game plays, but it's a 4-player game, so you've got left and right paddles for player 1, and I guess 2 for player 2, or you can have 4 people each control a paddle. So 2 of the 4 paddles are showing on the screen right now, and the other 2 are not. So haven't spent any time on this, but like I mentioned, we also have several other boards in the other rooms, so we'll maybe swap more boards out. I don't know, but the game has some repairs and things that need to be made, and this Pong Doubles is kind of an uncommon cabinet, so I think we'll probably spend the time to restore this one properly once we get the game fully functioning. But as it sits now, there's still work to be done. Robot Bowl X-City game, fully functional. We posted it to local Craigslist for $350. I think we've got a buyer. We've had a lot of rain here lately, so a lot of the games we put out for sale have people that say, you know, it's supposed to stop raining Saturday. Are you available? I'll come. So we expect that tomorrow we'll have a bunch of these that'll start moving out. But $350 is a great price, I think, on this game for the fact that it's, you know, fully functioning. Jump Bug, plug this one in. There's a power supply issue here. We're not getting any power to the game board. This was kind of cool. On the back of the back door was the service information, you know, the manual and drawings and whatnot, and it was still sealed, which I just thought was really unusual. So kind of, you know, when you're opening up 110 games, it's a little small things like that, which kind of are fun, you know, when you find things that are sort of unexpected. This will be a 16-1 at some point. It's empty, so get to that one. Talked about the Play Choice 10 last time. That's working all the way. Burger Time is also working all the way. I have not put that one on Craigslist yet, but I expect to do that tomorrow. I just need to clean it up a little bit more, but it's working. Kind of a funny story on this Robotron. You know, we did find the Wiccos inside, which I mentioned, so I'll swap out those newer controllers for the right ones when we eventually get to it. But turned it on, and when you play the game, the radio comes through, a radio station comes through the speaker as well as the game. So I get a grounding issue or something, I don't know, but it's kind of just funny to, you know, play Robotron and have your local radio station coming through the game as well. So a little bit of work to do on that one, but you know, the game's fully functional outside of the radio issue, so we'll get to it eventually. But I'd never seen that before. It's just funny. Mr. Do works all the way. Some of the T-molding had come off on that one, so I have to replace it. The control panel overlay also is sort of a Willis Pac-Man, and as you can see, unfortunately, it's peeling off. So I think we've got a Mr. Do CPO in the artwork, but I'm not sure that it's going to fit this cabinet, so I don't really know what we're going to do with this one yet. But game fully functional, looks great. A really nice picture on that, actually. Escape from Robot Monsters. I mentioned this one. It was all hacked up. No progress here. Just it is here. So somebody had reached out to me about buying this front, so I'll take that off and show you. This comes off. So for you, Enclave, that's for you. I'll link the video so you can take a look at it, but that's the piece that would come off. So if you're interested in buying that, that works for us. So we'll come up with a price. Alien Syndrome. This one is just a cool cabinet. As you can see, I took the control panel off. I'm putting the new overlay on. It's actually in the other room. But the game works all the way. It just needed the new CPO. And then we've got to clean the game up, which I've not done yet. So I'll clean it up, get the new the control panel put back together this weekend and get it out to sale. I think this is another game that's likely going to be more appreciated on KLOV and eBay, but we'll post it to Craigslist at the same time. You never know. Circus, we have to rebuild the power supply on this one. Exidy title. Other than that, the lights come on and power's up, but the power supply was dead, so still some work to do there. Blitz 99, I mentioned in the last video that it's working, but the cabinet is very wet, and so got very wet, I should say. And then so we're gonna part this one out. But fully functional. The monitor looks really good. Everything about the game looks great, except for unfortunately the wood. Wurlitzer, talked about both of those. Rolling Thunder, this is another game we did post out to Craigslist. The game's fully functional. It looks really good. I think we put it for $400 or $500. I don't know, pretty reasonable price. I mean, it's a great game. The monitor on this also looks beautiful. So you just got to find the guy that can appreciate Rolling Thunder. It wasn't one of those games that everybody knew about, but I think those that have played it really like it. Let's see, Journey. We pulled the board on this one. We were having some sound issues. I did, the two things I mentioned in the video that it was missing was the tape deck itself and then the cassette. So the rest of the parts, the interface board, the cables, the brackets that hold the tape deck, everything was inside it. And I watched the John's Arcade video, and he mentioned the Emerson CR46, which was the tape deck that originally came in the game. I looked on eBay and found a brand new one. So that got shipped out today. Should hopefully have that here in the next couple days. But, just kind of one of those random things. Like, you want to keep it as original as possible. And I'm not sure we're going to go out of our way to buy the cassette tape, because I think the cost of those is something stupid, like $700 for just the cassette tape, the original. But you can get, new versions of that sort of 3-minute loop tape for like $10 on eBay. So we'll just get that and then record record the sound onto that tape. But at least we'll have the brand new original tape deck. Let's see, Gyrus needs the CPO, which is sitting on top of it, and then I need to do a little work cleaning up the bezel. It's fallen in, and then just clean up the game itself, and then that one will go out for sale, I would say, tomorrow. Gorf was just missing a light bulb, and I need to put some locks on it, and that one needs to be cleaned, and it also will go out for sale. Tempest here is not working right now. We've got a bunch of rebuild kits for the board, the power supply, and the monitor, so I feel like the seller knew that it wasn't working and had work to do and just never got around to it. So I've got a bunch of Bob Roberts kits for Tempest, so that'll be a project probably for next month, but fully expect that one will be back up and running. Dartboards we talked about, Arch Rivals and the Xenophobe cab here, so I'll probably sell it as is. I imagine somebody will probably convert that to something maybe better. I think Arch Rivals is kind of fun, but it's just a very random cabinet for it. So, but anyway, that one will also, I'm sure, go out to Craigslist and whatnot this weekend. Another dartboard. Pole position here, the cockpit. It's a power supply issue. On that one, we found that we've got 4 or 5 working pole position boards. We tested them in the other machines, and we had a pole position 2 board actually as well, which the sticker on the back of this game is for PP2. So we'll probably make that game, I expect. Maybe we'll include both boards for whoever buys it. But anyway, I got to rebuild the power supply and then see what else is going on. Final room. The gunfight, this game, the seller had mentioned he sent the boards away for some work, and we plugged everything in, and the game didn't fire up. The monitor came on, we didn't spend much time on it, so it's quite possible that the game would work with a little work, but these are the type of projects that we're going to need to just sell and pass off to other people. I mean, I think it's a game that you might have a handful of people that can really appreciate. I think it's a great game. Maybe you'll get a Western guy or a bar guy or somebody that remembers the game and really wants to spend the time to fix it. But when the monitor did come up, it looked really good. So I expect that this game would come together with a little bit of work, but I think that's going to be a project we pass on. Galaga here. The board that was installed booted up to garbage. So we've got, as I mentioned, probably 6 or 7 other Galaga boards. We just have to plug them in. So that needs to be something we look at. The Mega Touch here. says Force 2006. It's actually updated to Force 2009, which means absolutely nothing because nobody cares about Megatouch anymore. But anyway, it's on Craigslist, I think for $100 or something, 200. I don't remember. It's something low. The touchscreen on it works. The monitor has a slight little jitter to it on some of the games. It's not on every game, so I don't know. I mean, the bill acceptor is in there, and that's probably worth $50 all by itself. So, Kung Fu Master. This is kind of a cool, like one of the early beat 'em up style, and I don't know. Game works all the way actually. So we posted it on Craigslist, I think for 400, 300. I don't remember. Not very much, but it's a fun game. So anyway, that's out in the world. Slice By, empty. Haven't even dusted it off yet. Miss Pac-Man, still don't have the monitor in there. That's one we'll get to. DK Jr., there's some work to do on this one. The game works 100%, but the cabinet, this is one of those titles that's worth spending some money on making it look a little bit nicer. I've got another used control panel overlay, which I'll stick on here. We'll replace the T-molding because black is not the right color for this game, and it needs some side art, which we have. So we'll do a few things to it to make it look nicer, but as it sits, the game is working. Mr. Do's Wild Ride, this one also works all the way. Probably a Frogger, I guess, is probably what it originally was, converted, but game is fully functional, and I think that one went out to Craigslist for 400. So we'll, the prices that I'm quoting are kind of local Craigslist. For Clav, and I imagine we'll offer a better rate, and eBay probably a little bit higher. That's how that works. You got to pay the eBay guys. So anyway, Donkey Kong here. This one is playing blind, so we've got some monitor work that we're going to need to look at. Asteroids Deluxe. This one needs a marquee light. The game's fully functioning. It's missing the bulb in the back, which lights up the the bezel or whatever you want to call it inside the cardboard. I need to build a back door for it and then put locks on it. So that one will probably go out this weekend. Zaxxon, this cabinet has got to be the worst and ugliest, biggest POS Zaxxon there is, but when we booted it up, it's got like the most beautiful picture. I mean, it's just stupid amazing how nice the game plays for how junky the cabinet is. So I'm going to get in here and I'm going to do a little work to try to make the cabinet look a little better. We've got a new CPO for it. I don't think I'll spend the time to replace it because I can't imagine anybody is going to want this cabinet, which is a shame because it plays beautifully. So maybe we'll sell it for a couple $100 and somebody will take this and swap it into their other nicer cabinet. Because like I said, the monitor has Zaxxon burn in it, but you can't see it when you're playing the game. Pac-Man Plus here, restored, has the 96-in-1 multi-pack. I don't think we actually got that one out to Craigslist. Now that I'm looking at it, I think I took photos of it, but never posted it. So we'll get that one out everywhere, including eBay on that game. That's definitely an eBay game. I think the Clav guys, again, they would restore the game themselves, and it's probably $1,000 as it sits. So those are the eBay guys that are going to pay that. But we'll put it on Craigslist as well. Duck Hunt, this game actually functions. Sorry, my stuff's in the way so you can't see it. But there was a board or something that had fallen down inside, and we didn't want to damage the game. So the thing started spinning and the score reset and everything, came up. But this thing is like a tank trying to get into it. We spent probably a half hour just trying to get the locks either picked, and then, we haven't drilled them yet. I was kind of trying to avoid that, but I think is what it is at this point, is we're going to have to drill it. But anyway, the Tunnel Hunt cab that's playing gapless on the left here. So that one is fully functioning, but, again, it's... we were hoping maybe we'd come across a Tunnel Hunt game board, and we just didn't. So I think that cabinet actually got a little restoration work at some point because it's really clean on the inside. So anyway, that's on Craigslist. I don't know. We've had a lot of interest in it, quite honestly. So I expect that one will be sold tomorrow. Probably somebody that wants to pull the game out and maybe hunt for Tunnel Hunt, because it is a rare game. The Centipede Millipede Missile Command 25-inch. I put the new control panel overlay on it so it looks much, much nicer. We put that on Craigslist for $850 and had a bunch of interest. So somebody coming tomorrow to look at it and probably buy it. So anyway, Mr. Do, this one works all the way as well. I'm sorry. We did actually put that one out on Craigslist for $400. So I think it's a Frogger cab as well. But anyway, it's a good Mr. Do. It's got clean artwork. The CPO on it looks really nice, and the monitor when it comes up looks really good as well. More dartboards. The the old double axle here. So the game works, but the control wiring is bad. So when you adjust it and hang it the right way, the game's fully functional. But it's certainly not worth rewiring, unfortunately. The cab is, got these rivets of screws that have been screwed in over the years, and the monitor's really clean. So I could probably go to Craigslist for $200, and 150 of that is in the monitor, which is beautiful. And it has one of the HAP 360-degree steering wheels, which has some value. So I expect somebody will buy it to part it out, sell the board, do everything, but we just don't have time for that. So $200, we'll probably have 5 people that'll want it quickly. When you post any arcade game for sale in Dallas for $200 or less, it seems like you have a ton of interest in people that want them. So if you're building a GarageCade or something like that, it's cheap. Stargate needs just a marquee light, and I need to clean it. The game works great. I do want to put a control panel overlay on it as well. That one's kind of iffy. It's the usual cigarette burns. The Star Wars here, I wanted to take the flight yoke down and show you guys. So the game, as you can see, looks really good. I mean, there's hardly an issue with it. A little minor cosmetic is all. And if you look at the stick here, it's like, it's perfect. It's super tight. So no reason to buy and install a new one. And yet here we have the new one in the box. It is brand new. We got the new artwork sticker. You can't really see it, but you can tell that it's brand new and super clean. So we'll get that probably sold off, is my guess. I've looked at some of the recent sales on that exact yoke, and it's like people are willing to pay $600-700 just for that. So can't imagine we're going to use it, and we've got 2 really good ones in the games. Anyway, this Namco Rockin' Bowl is one that kind of surprised me. The few that are listed on eBay are all listed at like $2,500 or higher, up to like $4,000. And the one that recently sold there sold for like $1,800. So a lot more valuable than I had originally thought. The game is actually kind of fun. I just don't have room for it. So that one is on Craigslist, I think, for $1,700 just to see what happens. But that'll also go to eBay this weekend. So it's definitely an eBay game. Sure, an operator, a bar, man cave, bowling fan, whatever is going to eat it up. Let's see, Superman is playing blind, but we have the full kit. The bezel, which you couldn't see in the last video for Superman, is actually up on top, the cardboard one. So we'll probably sell the Superman as a kit and turn this into Donkey Kong, because we have a Donkey Kong board and artwork here. But we've got to get the monitor working first. Dig Dug, I did get the controls fixed, so Dig Dug is now fully functional. I took some photos tonight, so that will show up out in the world for sale tomorrow. Tron, I haven't done anything to it yet. Quite honestly, that's going to be one take home to my garage and strip it down to every little piece I can find and just ground up restore. So that's going to be beautiful. There's a guy on Clov that sells this like sort of illuminated T-molding. He's building it for the first time here in the next couple weeks. I think I'm like #1 on the wait list for it. So looking forward to trying it out. And I know it's kind of, pimping out your Tron a little bit, but I think it'd be fun just to try it out. And if it doesn't look good, or it seems a little silly, or somewhere down the road I decide to sell it and the other guy doesn't like it, then T-molding is super easy to swap out. So, but in the meantime, it just feels like one of those games that needs illuminated T-molding. Space Invaders here, playing blind, but playing, these boards are hard to get working notoriously. As I mentioned in the last video, we've got like 12 of the stacks of boards, but the one that's in there works great. We also have one of the multi-kits in there, not in there right now, but one of the boards here. So I don't know what we're going to do with that. I think the cab is decent. It's not perfect, but certainly with some, cleaning it up or whatever, it'll look a lot better. So anyway, this Donkey Kong is also playing blind, so it's kind of our theme with the Nintendo games we got, is they all have a little bit of monitor work to do. But fortunately, the games are at least playing, so projects for sure. Spy Hunter, we have not done anything with. No sense doing it until we have a control panel that works, and we just don't have the time to get to a control panel yet. But I've got new artwork, and the boards were already worked on by the prior people, so was the monitor. So with 5 control panels in the other room, I'm super optimistic that we will get this game to 100%, but month 2 or 3. Pleiades, we were able to get inside this one. It works fully. The monitor is a little light, so I think we might cap it. I don't know yet what we're going to do with that one, but I haven't even cleaned it. So and the marquee light needed to be replaced. Just simple things, but game's working. And finally, Popeye is working, playing blind now. It played with the screen the first 2 times we turned it on, but the screen was really dark, and the third time it just sort of blinked out on us. So I've got some work to do on that one still. Let's see, no real updates on the parts here. I've been trying to get a little more organized, but these boxes are still generically sort of labeled. I did sort of split out the cap kits to the ones that were for monitor. I mean, you can see for how small those kits are, it's a massive pile. And these are all game board and power supply caps. I don't know, there's really nothing to go over in here. We already kind of talked about all that. So still haven't used any of the monitors or any of the tubes or any of the other chassis. Like I said, we've really been just trying to figure out the easy stuff and get 20 or 30 of these games sold off here in the next couple weeks and give ourselves the space to work on the rest of the games. So anyway, that's the sort of week 2 update. I think we're making a lot of progress. It's funny because you come out here and it's a little overwhelming. There's 2 of us. So, we sort of sit here and look at each other and go, what do we want to do? We've really been trying to focus on getting games to 100% so we can sell them. The ones that we want to keep, we're sort of setting aside. So the cooler projects that I'm sure some of you are anxious to see us work on, like the Discs of Tron and, Tron and whatever, The Journey, those types of games. We're going to get to that, but unfortunately it's going to be a few more weeks. So in the meantime, we'll get on some of these other projects like the Gauntlet and get, the Tapper fully done and get Big Buck Safari done. And there's also an auction coming up here in an arcade auction in Dallas, I think April 4th, which is, 3-4 weeks away. So we'll probably bring a few games out to that as well, just again to clear some space. Some of the lower end projects always seem to sell well there. But anyway, that's the update. So if there's anything in particular you want to see, I'm not an expert on these videos, as you guys I'm sure can tell. I try to keep it a little entertaining, but it's just at this point, it's somebody on JAMA Plus website, it's a UK website, kind of made a joke that it sounded like I was doing a PowerPoint presentation. So trying to get a little more energy going on these things, but when you work for 6 or 7 hours in here and then you shoot a video on your way home, you're tired. So I think maybe I'll start shooting videos before I do anything in the day, so maybe there's a little more entertainment value. But anyway, reach me on Clav. The Arcade Geek is my handle there. Certainly leave comments below. I definitely read them. Shoot me a message if there's something in particular you want to see. If there's a game here or games that you want to make an offer on, we're absolutely, everything is for sale. So as much as we want to take some of these games home, if we get the right offer, then we're definitely motivated to sell. So hit me up on Clav there. You can certainly make an offer. If there's a video you want to see or you want me to email you photos of a particular game or two, absolutely reach out to me. I'm happy to take whatever it is you want to see. And, if you're talking about maybe shipping some games, if you get 2 or 4 of these together, it becomes pretty reasonable. So, certainly worth spending the money to have them shipped when you're shipping more than 1. 2 or better seems to be the right number, shipping in pairs. But anyway, appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video, and have a good one.